اسمعوا صوت السماء جاء المسيح جاء المسيح اسمعوا صوت السماء جاء المسيح جاء المسيح
اسمعوا صوت السماء جاء المسيح جاء المسيح اسمعوا صوت السماء جاء المسيح جاء المسيح.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon us all. Welcome to the last episode of this 3-day special program that came your way, and that is coming your way from Qadian, the residence, the hometown of the promised Messiah alayhi salam. Dear viewers, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prophesied that after his prophethood there will be a system of successorship, that is Khilafat. We see in history that this was fulfilled with the rightly guided Khulafa. According to the elaborate prophecy of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we also saw the establishment of tyrannical monarchy after the period of Khilafat. Then came the period of monarchical despotism. But as we can see today, this period has also passed. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam further stated that after this period, there will be Khilafat established on the precepts of prophethood. So the million-dollar question here is, where is the Khilafat promised by Allah and the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The Muslim world has felt the dire need for such a Khilafat, hence an outcry from the generality of Muslims, and hence the unsuccessful efforts of some Muslim leaders to establish Khilafat, forgetting that the prophecy said it will be on the precepts of prophethood. Today, it is only in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community that this blessed Khilafat is established. So in the words of Allah, we call and invite you all that وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold fast to the rope of Allah all together and be not divided. This is indeed a favor of Allah on us, for a herd without a headsman or a flock without a shepherd is lost to the woods. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the institution of Khilafat in Ahmadiyya and in Khilafat in general. To discuss this further, joining me in the studio, as we have seen from the past 2 days, these three able gentlemen. To my immediate left is Maulvi Hafif Ibrahim Saab. Maulvi Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And always in the middle is Maulvi Nur Turab Ali Saab. Nur Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And at the far end today, we have Maulvi Abdul Rahman Sham Saab. Maulvi Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Well, the time has really gone very quickly that we are on the last episode today. We have a lot to discuss today. Let's set the premise right. Nur Saab, just for the sake of the viewers who may not understand the concept of Khilafat, just give a brief explanation of what Khilafat is. When we say Khilafat, what do we mean by it?
Yes, actually, Khilafat means the successorship, and it has been established by Allah Ta'ala. You see, Allah Ta'ala has created mankind for a specific purpose. And in order to help mankind reach this purpose, Allah Ta'ala has provided the means for it. He has been sending prophets, and we find that in the past, Allah Ta'ala has even appointed Hazrat Adam as a vicegerent, as a representative, as a prophet, and he has also been called a Khalifa. And we find that afterwards there were prophets who came with specific missions to guide some people, and Allah Ta'ala appointed other prophets to continue this mission. They were also called Khulafa. They were called caliphs of these prophets. And we find that, for example, in the dispensation of Hazrat Musa, of Moses, there were so many prophets, even so many people who came to continue his mission. They were all the successors of these prophets. So this Khilafat successorship has been established by Allah Ta'ala the Almighty to continue the mission, that is, the mission assigned by Allah Ta'ala to some prophets.
MashaAllah. Chamsa, let's carry the discussion about the concept of Khilafat forward. We know, it's open knowledge that after the Holy Prophet Islam, Khilafat was established. On what principles was the Khilafat established at the time?
Just like Nusa rightly mentioned, prophets are sent for a mission on earth. And of course, a prophet's lifespan is short. He's not going to live forever. And there's a need for somebody to be appointed by Allah Almighty to continue the mission of the prophet. And that's why after the sad demise of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of course, Muslims were saddened and the enemies rejoiced. But Allah Almighty promised to the Muslims in the Holy Quran that He will establish a system of Khilafat, like He established that system, like Nusa already mentioned before. And that's why upon the demise of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq was appointed or elected as the first Khalifa in the history of Islam. And there are conditions that Allah Almighty, put in place for this system of Khilafat to progress also, and what needs to be done, and what is the role of that system of Khilafat. For example, Allah Almighty said He will establish that Khilafat for them, and He will give them a religion that He has chosen for them. That is the Muslims who believe in Allah Almighty. And then Allah Almighty said, He will give them peace and security after their fear. And Almighty also, the condition is that they will worship only Allah Almighty. So we see that, after the establishment of Khilafat, in Islam, these conditions were followed by Muslims. But then at the end of this verse, Allah Almighty said, He said, whosoever is ungrateful, after that they will be the rebellious. So Muslims were grateful for this blessing for a period of time. And that was the condition. After, when so many, disputes started to enter Islam, that blessing was lifted from them. It means that they went against the principles of that promise to Allah Almighty.
Of the system, the promise of Allah the Almighty, that is Iman and Amal Salihah, the faith and doing of good deeds. Hafif Saab, they have all mentioned Khilafat even before and during the time of after the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and they continuously mentioned prophets as like it has a very deep link with prophethood. But nowadays we have people interpreting it in so many different ways, wanting to establish Khilafat without prophethood. Where is the misunderstanding coming from? What is to be misunderstood about this?
That's a very important question. But we see a lot of examples of such, in our societies. For example, there are a group of people who their understanding of life is that they are not supposed to marry, but they are referred to as fathers. There are people who you see, it is very common in Africa, who are referred to as prophets, prophetess. We even have prophetesses, So the right of anybody at all to adopt a term and refer to themselves with a certain name, But that doesn't necessarily mean that they deserve that name. It's not the meaning of that. There are certain requirements that are fulfilled in a caliph, in a khalifa of God the Almighty. Nusab has very beautifully explained what the term khalifa means. And as long as these requirements are not fulfilled, one cannot be that true khalifa, though he can refer to himself by that name. After the Khilafat al-Rashida, after the Prophet ﷺ, the four rightly guided khulafa who came, after them, the leaders of Islam in the Umayyad dynasty, in the Abbasid dynasty, and after that, refer to themselves as caliphs. Some of them refer to themselves as Amirul Mu'mineen. But that really wasn't the case. Allah had chosen just these four to champion the cause of Khilafat as true successors of the Prophet ﷺ. So, but the fact that a lot of organizations, including terrorist organizations, are adopting this term for themselves to me, indicates something. It indicates the fact that there is actually a need for that Khilafat. They are realizing that really there has to be a Khalifa, somebody to unify us. And the condition, though, is that it has to come on the precept of prophethood. But just the fact that everybody, or it's very common, that people are referring to themselves as caliphs, self-acclaimed, is the fact that it is indeed the time that Khilafat returned on the precept of prophethood. It's just that they haven't realized, they haven't recognized that Khilafat.
That is very, very well explained. Viewers joining us today, I believe you have started enjoying the program already, very informative, and your messages have started coming through. I'll take some time to read a few of them. From Ghana, we have Zubda Ahmed, and the message is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah for showing us Qadian and all the important places through MTA. I'm really enjoying the program. MTA Zindabad. From Mauritius, we have Dr. Tahir Ahmed Jawahir. He says, Alhamdulillah, very interesting program, and by seeing these sacred places, we wish to be there also. From Gambia, people are still reminiscing, the things they saw yesterday. From the Gambia, we have Ibrahim Ba. He says, may Allah bless the world with the acceptance of the Messiah of the age. May Allah safeguard us from the evil of the age. May He bless the efforts of all MTA staff and volunteers as well. Ameen. May He bless you as well. Viewers, keep your messages coming. You can send your messages on the number and email displaying on your screens, as well as by scanning the QR code that will be displaying on your screen. You would be able to follow the proceedings of this live program on your Android and Apple devices, as well as sending your messages on that same QR code. Gentlemen, let's continue the discussion. When we talk about anything, we need to know the need of it to be able to appreciate what it is. Granted that Khilafat was established before Islam and immediately after the Holy Prophet Islam, let's bring it to this contemporary time of ours. What would be the need for Khilafat during this time and age?
See, the Holy Prophet if we talk about Khilafat in terms of the Islamic dispensation, it all begins with the Holy Quran and the prophecies of the Holy Prophet There were so many things explained by the Holy Prophet and which has been fulfilled actually. So it makes sense that these prophecies about the latter days, when Islam will be in such and such ways as explained by the Holy Prophet So that's why everyone is expecting that there's a need for this Khilafat. And that is what we are seeing today, how Muslims are, the state of the Muslims are in such a disarray. It's a pitiful state actually, where everyone and anyone can say anything about the Muslims, about Islam, and we don't find a proper way to answer these allegations, these attacks, and there's unrest everywhere. Just take any Muslim country right now in the world and we find the situation, the conditions where the Muslims are living. Neither spiritually, nor morally, nor even in the country there's rest, or you can say there's progress, or in the coming few years there will be some kind of progress. Every Muslim and every Muslim country, they are crying for a leader right now. If you see the news recently, you'll find the videos and sad videos where they are crying for the leader. We need a leader. We need someone to come and help the Muslims.
I think I'll agree with Nusab, like you mentioned about the videos going around.
Yes.
Yesterday, I think the program we mentioned about the need of the Imam, of a Messiah. And of course, there's a need for leadership in today's world. How we see, whether it's the Muslims or non-Muslims, whatever, because like this concept of a reformer is believed in all religions. And the Khalifa, of course, of Allah Almighty, who will come, his need is to, establish that unity of Allah Almighty on earth and to unite the world under the banner of, of the oneness of Allah Almighty. If there is one leader who is commanding the world, who is telling the world to do this, and the world follows, there will be no chaos around. Because of the world has no leadership, and the Muslim world has no leadership, that's why there is this cry. That's why there has been attempts by not only terrorist groups, but even our Muslim leaders. they want to establish the Khilafat, but because it will not be successful because of, like Hafiz Sahab rightly mentioned, and in the intro you mentioned, it will be on the precept of prophethood. That's why the Khilafat Ahmadiyya is there, has been there for almost 100 and something years, and it's going, and people are saying that that's the type of leadership that is needed in the world today, and that's why the Khilafat is progressing. There are many, so-called Caliphate, people calling themselves, we have Khilafat and all that, but none of those systems claim to say that, okay, our Khilafat is based on prophethood or on the precept of, it's already Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. So there's indeed a need for Khilafat, a need for leadership that will unify the world.
So, yes. Can you even say there's no need for Khilafat? I mean, the analogy is that you cannot have a scattered, sheep and expect that there's no shepherd, and you want them to gather together. That doesn't happen. Yes. So we need to be unified. Just look at what is happening today in Gaza. That is an indication that the Muslims are failing to unite because there's no leadership.
Yes, the world is indeed in dire need of, there's no two ways about that. They themselves have made efforts upon efforts to elect a Khalifa, and that goes without saying that they recognize the need of Khalifa. That's why they want to elect one. But they have failed, as it has always been the case, because obviously it is meant to be an establishment of God the Almighty.
And that is probably because he talked about the Gaza war. We see during the start of that war, the Muslim leaders, they went together in Saudi Arabia, and they could not even come to an agreement on how to help the citizens of Gaza. But Hazur, the Khalifa of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, he was saying the facts, what needs to be done and what should be avoided and all that. So if we have a united, front, if we have one leader, a Khalifa, who speaks and we all obey and we all follow, all the Muslim world, today, Islam would be somewhere better than where it is today.
Well, Nurshab, let's carry the conversation again forward. Despite the fact that their actions show that they know there's a need for Khilafat, they also theoretically, say that our Khilafat has no foundation in Islam. It's a bit ironical, but how do you explain that?
Exactly. Everyone is trying to establish some kind of leadership because, again, that was the teachings, and that is the teachings of Islam. That's what the Holy Quran, that's what the Holy Prophet ﷺ taught. Everyone knows that in this period, the Imam Mahdi should be here, Khilafat should be established. Everyone knows this. That's why the effort is being made. And ironically, when there is someone who announced that he is from Allah Ta'ala, that this Khilafat has not been established by men, they find something to say. But we know that this Khilafat has been established based on the teachings of the Holy Quran. Like in Surah Nur, Allah Ta'ala has given this promise. Allah Ta'ala has given this promise that He will make them successors in the earth, just as He made Khulafa successors among those who came before them. So there is this promise. That's why the Muslims in general, they have this hope. They know that there should be a kind of Khilafat established right now. They are expecting. Plus, just like we explained, there's a need of the time. Everyone has been seeing this chaos around. So there's a need for leadership, for a Khalifa. There's a need, there's a promise. Someone is presenting himself as being from Allah Ta'ala, and it's like this. So why this refusal, this denial? It's a bit strange. And we also have, like you mentioned in the beginning, the promise made, the prophecy made by the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that there will be so many things that will happen. Yeah. And at the end, there will be Khilafat based upon the precepts of prophethood. So everything happened. And when it comes to that last part, yes. It's just like it goes blank and no one understands, these Ahmadis and this Khilafat Ahmadiyya, they will find so many things to say against it. It's strange, actually.
And this Khilafat Ahmadiyya saying that it's not based on anything. As Al-Masih Maud, one thing we should remember, he prophesied about the second manifestation.
Okay.
And he said that second manifestation, this was when he was alive.
Yes.
And we find this in the will, Al-Wasiyat. He prophesied that after me, there will be a system of Khilafat. And he you know, Masih Maud alayhi Islam was so certain. Sometimes his certainty, it amazed me. Of course, he's a prophet.
Yeah.
He gets his revelation from Allah Almighty. There's no doubt about that. Someone is alive. He said, when I go, Allah will give you something better. And that something better, he said, is the second manifestation, which is Khilafat. And of course, there are like the verse of the Holy Quran,
yes,
and also the hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Masih Maud knew that I was that prophet, I was that Messiah, I was that Mahdi who supposed to come, and this is me. And after me, he had no doubt that Allah Almighty will establish the system of Khilafat. So after the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam, when he passed away, the system of Khilafat started, and he planted that seed. And that seed is become a big tree, like I mentioned yesterday. I always like saying that. And today, that system of Khilafat, alhamdulillah, the progress of that for more than 100 and something years, no doubt proves the truthfulness of the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam. Even nothing else, forget about all the prophecies and all that. Even this system of Khilafat definitely proves that Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam was a man sent by Allah Almighty.
Well, that is one point that I want to draw the viewers' attention to. For about over 100 years now, the system of Khilafat has been established in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and it's been successful. We've seen results. If you are looking for something and you are not finding, and a group is telling you that we have established it for over 100 years now, what else do you need? Why don't you join them? If you just joined us, this is the Messiah of the Age program coming to you live from Qadian. Stay tuned as the discussions are ongoing, talking about Khilafat and the Khilafat of Ahmadiyya, to be precise, and what it has done throughout the 100 years. 100 years is a big period. What are some of the things that practically the Khilafat has done in service to Islam and humanity at large?
So Khilafat is the continuation of prophethood. It's actually the same thing, as the prophet cannot live forever. The prophet is bashar, is a human being. And so the same task that the prophets carry is the same task that the Khulafa carry. What is this task we mentioned yesterday about unifying humanity and about linking man back to God? So as far as Islam is concerned, is Khilafat fulfilling this task or not?
Yes.
It is to the extent that through Khilafat, individuals, not just Islam as a whole, individuals get their personal problems, as far as faith is concerned, solved. People write letters to the Khalifa, for example, complaining of their ailments, their personal problems. And while they sleep at night, the Khalifa, out of love, wakes for them, cries for them, and anguishes for them. The problems are solved. Why they are resting? That extent of love, even at the personal level, is unparalleled. When you talk about the benefits of Khilafat for the world at large, imagine that the message of Islam, the extent to which through Khilafat has been extended. I believe that all of us are sitting here after having been trained through the institution of Jamia Ahmadiyya.
Yeah.
Particularly Jamia Ahmadiyya Ghana. 3 of us sitting here today have got that opportunity.
I think Chamsa is not too happy.
Certainly, he graduated from Jamia UK.
But he had a close proximity to the Khalifa. So
and that was also established by Khilafat Khamisa.
Yeah.
So through these means, missionaries are trained to propagate the message of Islam. But even in secular education and in the propagation of the message of peace, imagine the works of Khilafat. And not just Ahmadis are recognizing these, even non-Ahmadis, non-Muslims are recognizing that. I was approached by a politician. Recently in Ghana, we had the assemblyman election. What do they call it? District assembly?
Yeah, elections. Yeah.
Elections. And a contestant, an aspirant approached me and said, please write a letter for me. Help me write a letter to your Khalifa. He's not an Ahmadi. But to the extent that non-Ahmadis recognize this. And again, somebody told
Even
me
the presidential candidates,
the presidential candidate.
when Huzur came to Ghana, all of them made it a point to come and request prayers.
So the impact is so huge in education. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community has established, schools all across, and I believe you are a product of, Ahmadiyya education, because your primary school, your secondary school, including Jamia. So you are a product of exactly Hafiz class as well. So there are numerous examples of the extent to which Khilafat is impacting the lives of individuals, impacting Islam as a whole, and impacting the world at large.
Well, gentlemen, we will continue the discussion about the impact, the love. There's so much to talk about. But just for the viewers, we would want to go to where the place, the very geographical place where it all started, the Khilafat Ahmadiyya started, the place of Khilafat's re-establishment in Islam, the Maqam Zuhur Qudrat Saniya. Let's have a look at that piece.
The night of 26th May 1908. The outpour of pain and emotions are heard from the companions of the promised Messiah ﷺ in Masjid Mubarak, as they bow before their Creator and try to come to terms with the sad news that the promised Messiah ﷺ, their beloved Imam, had passed away.
They were trembling with fear and grieving a great loss. They could barely say anything clearly in their prayers. It was as if the earth had been pulled from beneath their feet.
But a painful reminder that all men to ever set foot on the face of this earth are mortal, and as such must ultimately come to meet the judgment of their Lord.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
The body of the promised Messiah ﷺ arrived in Qadian the following day. But even at this extremely sad moment, the opponents of the Jamaat left no stone unturned in ridiculing the personality of the promised Messiah ﷺ, as well as inflicting pain on the members of the young community.
Some wrote about the destruction of the community, whilst others simply rejoiced at the occasion.
Little did they know that Allah the Almighty was to manifest a great sign unto the people and manifest His glory for all eternity.
This great monument was erected to signify and mark the significance of the second manifestation of divine power. In 1908, it was here the bayat was taken at the hands of the first caliph, Hazrat Haji Maulvi Hakim Nuruddin, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And so the 1,200 members or so present here took the bayat, and with it the system of Khilafat commenced.
Prior to taking the covenant of allegiance, in his address, he told the fellow Ahmadi Muslims that he had never desired to be their leader. He even mentioned the names of other people who, he said, were more deserving of this honor. Then he told the gathering that if they really insisted, he would be willing to carry this burden. He reminded them, however, that the person who performed the bay'ah gave up all his freedom in the cause of Islam. Finally, he urged the fellow community members to remain united. His address was received with great acclamation, and all those present performed the bay'ah at the hand of Maulana Nuruddin, who then became the first successor to the promised Messiah, alayhi salatu wasalam.
Walking past this monument today, 114 years from that significant moment, reminds me of the words of the promised Messiah, alayhi salatu wasalam, which we have seen come true time and time again.
You should neither grieve nor should you be heartbroken, for it is mandatory that you see God's second manifestation. The coming of that manifestation is a lot better for you, because it is eternal, whose succession will not terminate till the end of days. When I go, Allah will send to you the second manifestation, and it will stay with you forever.
After the demise of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, the system of Khilafat has been tasked with the renaissance of Islam on this earth. It is our only salvation. This seed was sown by Allah Himself, its roots now extending to the crust of the earth and its branches wide into the heavens. No matter the wind of opposition that may blow towards it, it remains firm and shall remain till the end of time, inshallah.
Dear viewers, during those sensitive moments, even then, the opponents left no stone unturned in ridiculing the Jamaat. But as Allah has promised His support to His community, He established the system of Khilafat. And today, the mission of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, which is actually the mission of Allah, Allah sent him for that mission and for that purpose, is still in continuation, and it is growing from strength to strength. We are continuing the discussion about Khilafat. And now let's go a bit deeper into the continuation of the message of Islam, the message of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, and the achievements of Khilafat. Nur Sahab, let's talk more about how Khilafat is carrying the message of the promised Messiah alayhi salam ahead.
Actually, today, based on the mission of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, we find that the Khalifa of the time today has continued the same, the projects, the plans of the promised Messiah, using the means that we have today. So, by the grace of Allah, we have many projects that have started in many countries, in many continents all over the world, and Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, they are covering, they are touching like most of the people of the world today, as much as the means can allow. And we find like through MTA, through the missions that are being established, etc. So we can say today, by the grace of Allah, it's only the Khilafat of the promised Messiah ﷺ that has been able to achieve this purpose.
I'm actually asking both of you to be precise, because you are heavily related to MTA.
Yeah, definitely. Hazrat Masih Maud ﷺ, when he was writing Brahim Ahmadiyya, he mentioned 3 points. That is, it's about Allah Almighty, about the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and Islam, the honor of Islam, of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So today, when we look at the activities of Hazur is traveling far and wide. He addresses, parliaments, events where he, explained the beautiful teachings of Islam to people who are not Muslims. And some people have very big fear of Islam when they hear the word Islam. It's so misconcepted, so misunderstood. But when Hazur address them, they will come and say, okay, before what we hear about Islam and when Hazur speaks, what he say about Islam, people understand the whole picture or the true peaceful teaching of Islam. And Hazur, for example, this Friday sermons, we look at his Friday sermons when he stands in front of millions of Ahmadis all over the world. He's talking about Islam, the pure Islamic teachings. And even during the Friday sermons, some of the Friday sermons, he made the Badr, the Sahabas of Badr, and he explained each of them, their sacrifices, renewing our faith. Those are not like mere stories that Hazur will stand in front of us and talk for 1 hour. These are things that revive our faith, so that we also know that, okay, some people, during the time of Holy Prophet ﷺ, the sacrifices they have done for Islam, that is the same sacrifice that we have to try and do. Some people will say, okay, if I'm in the time of Holy Prophet ﷺ, I'll be a brave person, I'll be this and that. We are in that time. We have Hazur, we have Khilafat. Yeah. Let us be brave. And this is, the type of, spirit that Hazur is putting us, the Khalifa is putting in us, so that, we carry the message of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, what the message of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam forward.
MashaAllah. I believe you are talking about the impact that it is actually having on the people as well. Just before, you are from the Gambia, you are from Mauritius, Ghana, and people in all these areas are being impacted positively from Khilafat.
You see, when Cham Sahib was explaining about how the Khalifa of the time, the Khalifa today is doing so much for the sake of Islam, for the sake of the world. So obviously it has an impact on the people. And when you find the Ahmadis all around the world, the relation, the special relation that they have with the Khalifa is simply like unique. You cannot find it anywhere else. We find that this fountain of knowledge, fountain of spirituality that the Khalifa possess, the way everyone is thirsty to drink from that fountain, by the grace of Allah today, we should say we are lucky to witness this relation. We have so many examples of how members from all around the world try, to go and meet the Khalifa. If this is, they find this effort from the Khalifa evoked, from the Khalifa of the time. So they try to reciprocate this, this love and try to go to meet the Khalifa. During the Jalsa Salana of UK, how people try to go to UK just to meet the Khalifa, have a mulaqat, meet Huzur. For however, like the time that they get, it's like everyone will be saying, when I entered the mulaqat, it was like for hours, but actually it was only a few seconds. Like all their wishes, whatever they wanted, just like suddenly it was accomplished, fulfilled.
They come out fully charged.
Fully charged. So we know, I know some of the members who, they are not financially, very well off. So they save for the whole year. For the whole year, they save money. And they could have bought, I know a family that could have bought a proper house, invest if they saved that money, but they used it only to travel to UK, to stay in Bayt al-Futuh, and see Huzur as much as possible, get the mulaqat, pray behind their Khalifa. And they go back to their country, and they still have nothing there. But they are so spiritually charged because they just want to meet their Khalifa. And when I ask them, they say that yes, after this, every Friday, we will be watching our Khalifa, so we are just like connected with our Khalifa every week.
I believe that spiritual charge is the essence of religion. It's the essence of our creation in itself. Talking about Friday sermons, there's someone narrates that it shows how timely the advice, the admonishments of Khalifa is. He was listening to the Friday sermon. Huzur was mentioning about a particular shortcoming, and he had in mind that this shortcoming, there's somebody I know who is actually a victim of it. And then Huzur goes ahead and say, and when you are talking about some of these things, people will be having in their minds some other people. And then he said, Toba, Toba, may Allah forgive me for whatever I was thinking. So they are very timely to that extent. But talking about the impacts, Habib Saab, is it only internal?
No, it's definitely not only internal. In fact, and there are a lot of testimonies as far as this is concerned. We've witnessed so many times the Khalifa of the time visiting parliaments, visiting world leaders, organizing meetings, peace symposia, etc., and extending the message of peace. Why it is important that we deal with the rest of the world with justice, because that is a prerequisite for peace. And we've watched the Khalifa of the day champion that cause. What is even more interesting is that the Jamaat is a Jamaat of little resources, worldly speaking.
Yeah.
But the impact, the extent to which that this very limited resources is able to be put into use, effective use, such that that powerful message of peace, that powerful message of justice, that message of bringing humanity together is relayed, is amazing. Yeah. Even look at humanitarian activities within the Jamaat through Humanity First. it's very widely known in Africa, to the extent that boreholes are dug for communities that do not have water, to the extent that electricity is provided for people who are in the dark, to the extent that schools are built in the remotest area, where prior to the building of these schools, they had to walk miles, tens of miles to access education. So to that extent, you know, it's so clear that the impact of Khilafat is not only within Islam, it's not only within the Jamaat, but it extends to the rest of the world as well.
And just to add to Hafiz's that, you know, it's what Jamaat is doing for the people. But even people who are non-Ahmadis, when they meet Hazur, they feel this love.
Yes.
You know, they feel that we've met someone who is different, someone who is very sincere, who, you know, they find peace in Hazur when they meet him. So that love that even Ahmadis have for Hazur, non-Ahmadis, when they meet Hazur, they you know, because this Hazur is a representative of Allah on earth.
Yes.
And when you meet him, you feel that, you know, personality, that this is someone I'm meeting who is not just an ordinary person. And these testimonies are there by people.
Viewers, stay tuned. We are going to show you some of the people, external people even, who have said things about our beloved Khalifa. May Allah be his helper. As promised, we're going to read some more messages as the messages are trooping in from many, many countries: Mauritius, Germany, UK, Ghana, Ivory Coast, and so on and so forth. From Mauritius, we have Kamil, Jawahir, and family, even from Pakistan. Kamil Jawahir from Mauritius, he says, and family, Salam, may Allah bless you all for the preparation of this wonderful program that we wait every year to watch. May Allah bless you too. From Germany, Tahsina, Hadika, Hiba, Tawkir, and Mufliha Nasir. I think I've heard these names before. They say, Assalamu alaikum, we really like the program. We were tuned in live from Germany every 3 days and recommended that others watch too. We learned many new things. May Allah Ta'ala reward everyone for their efforts. From UK, we have Awab, Zaid, Inaya, and Alian. They say, Assalamu alaikum. I hope and pray you are all well. Jazakallah for showcasing all the sacred ties of Qadian. May Allah bless the entire MTA Africa team and enable you to carry on the good work. Ameen. May Allah bless you too. From Ghana, we have Farwa Bilal. And the messages: we are watching the beautiful program and learning more about Khilafat and Qadian. May Allah bless your efforts for sharing knowledge with us with the blessed channel MTA. Ivory Coast. We have a message from Ivory Coast. It's from Suru Al-Hassan Sahib. He says, Assalamu alaikum. We are really thankful to MTA for holding such programs to keep us attached to Khilafat and realize its importance. May Allah enable the world to recognize the Messiah of the age and his Khulafa. Ameen, thumma ameen. This is our prayer. Gentlemen, let's continue the discussion. We were talking about the love that Ahmadis show to the Khalifa, and the Khalifa also showed to Ahmadis. And for me, that is a sign of the truthfulness, to be honest, because there's a hadith that says that when Allah loves somebody, he commands the angels that go and command people that this is a person that I love, so they should all love him. Let's continue with this discussion. Chamsab, I can see you want to
yes,
you have more down your sleeves.
Yeah, you are talking about the purity of that love. Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam said he believed in, you know, prophets who came, like, Krishna and others, because he said if people love you for such a long period, it means that you are a man of God, you know. But so when we come to Khilafat also, this love has been there since its establishment.
Yes.
And we can see people in the remotest areas of Africa. For example, being missionaries in Africa, for example, we go deep into the villages sometimes. You'll meet people who have never seen Hazur, who have never met him. And sometimes you say salam, the first thing they ask you, especially when we are in Zambia, because they know that we are from UK, they don't ask you, how are you doing? How are the people that you left back home? I mean, they will ask you, how is the Khalifa of the time? And some will even, when you start narrating your relationship with Hazur through the period, and some will even be in tears. They show so much love for Hazur. It's just amazing. So it shows that, and some people, fortunately, they have MTA. Yeah. And you can see even when Hazur is speaking, when Friday sermons, how eagerly they will sit I know before, when MTA, of course, in Gambia, for example, we are not translating into local languages. Even in English, when, for example, the translation was in English, people would eagerly say they don't understand what Hazur is saying. But just seeing the beautiful face of Hazur is enough for them. And alhamdulillah, now, translation is going on in local languages. And people will sit down, even, some people say the testimony, how pleased they are to be able to see Hazur and hear what he's saying directly. And this increased the love of those people who are, I'm not going to say, unfortunately, they didn't meet Hazur, because they see Hazur and the love is so pure.
Allah has created a link in so many ways between the Khalifa and the Jamaat, even through MTA. That's a form of meeting. During this COVID period, these virtual mulakas that came up, these are all meetings.
Exactly. And talking about this, the members, the Ahmadi in 4 villages, once during the work fair Azi in the northern parts of Ghana. So it really surprised me, like when I reached there, when we saw the children watching the Friday sermon. It was on a small TV. The mosque, they had only the basics. So even in that far off place, on a very small TV, you find children waiting for the Friday sermon, just sitting there. So what really shocked me is that the children were also having this love for the Khalifa. And they have this, this desire, this passion that we will meet the Khalifa, inshallah. But for now, the Friday sermon is our connection. And we find like how Huzur was so pleased during this COVID time to see the members during the virtual mulakat, and how Huzur will be asking questions about how they are doing. And I read somewhere like after the first Jalsa, which was held post-COVID period. Yes. So it was on a small scale. I think Sahib can narrate it a bit better there. But it was narrated that Huzur made this comment after the Jalsa, that he was a bit in a kind of some kind of sadness, that this atmosphere of joy, and when everyone will be coming to Islamabad to meet him, to be around him. So he kind of missed that. He said that the Jalsa was nice, everything was good, but meeting the people was missing. This love of the members of the Jamaat, for him to give his love, to show this love for the members. So Huzur mentioned that he misses that a bit.
In fact, the absence of the international bayats,
yes,
that in that particular Jalsa was heavily pained. People took the pain, yes, and complained a lot. Or of course, it was done for the good of it. I've come to the understanding, I've heard that MTA Ghana made a survey, and the most watched program on MTA is a Friday sermon,
yes,
where Huzur meets us,
yes,
and speaks to us.
Not only in the Jamaat, but also externally. I can confirm that,
including
yes,
non-Ahmadis. But it's a two-edged sword. The members, the extent to which they love their Khalifa, the Khalifa even loves us more. And it would not be an exaggeration to say that the Khalifa's love for us is more than our parents' love for us. It would not be an exaggeration. There is, a letter in circulation of a young child, a girl, who wrote some drawings of her flowers to Huzur. And one would think that a man so much busy all day long, he would just take it, smile, and then put it aside. But Huzur did not only reply, but also, took some time with some colors and painted some flowers,
Mashallah,
in reply to that young child.
Mashallah.
So that extent of love, you can fathom it. We don't even get that from our parents.
This is really, heart-touching. To have a person who will actually pray for you when even you are sleeping. And once he said that there's no night that he doesn't tour every country of the world where the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is established. On the other hand, we see the members also showing their love in diverse ways, even in how much they obey the Khalifa. It is the same love that the companions were showing to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And for the love of the Prophet, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is actually showing love to the Khalifa of the time. I believe if we allow Shamsa, for instance, you had close proximity. Yes, I promised you that I'm going to allow you some time because you had some close proximity during your Jamia days.
Yes.
To Huzur.
I mean, you know, spending that much time with Huzur is just amazing. That I always say that the love you find when you are next to Huzur, when you are with Huzur, that love cannot be felt anywhere. No matter who you are with, no matter where you are, the love that Huzur has for you, the love that Huzur has for Jamaat members, you can just feel this love when you are with Huzur. You know, he's so kind, so humble, and he's open to listening to whatever any Ahmadi has, whatever troubles we have. People have their worries, people have their concerns, and when you go to Huzur, he will, you know, give you solution to everything that, you know, and he will pray for you, and by Allah's grace, you know, so many, you know, things will be solved. So within these years, personally, I've experienced that. Many Ahmadis also have experienced that. So they have that peace of mind that is mentioned in the Holy Quran, that Allah will make their fear into peace. Huzur is giving that peace to everyone, people meeting him all the time.
MashaAllah. I'll come back to you, gentlemen, for more because the discussion is getting more and more interesting. But the time is also dawning on us and the end of the program is looming on us. But before then, as mentioned, we have a compilation of external people talking about Huzur, commenting about Huzur when they met him, when they listened to him, their feelings and how they felt during the time. Let's have a look at that compilation.
Lonely, lonely Khalifa, Khalifa Masrur Ahmad. Lonely, lonely Khalifa, Khalifa Masrur Ahmad.
Every time I talk to him, he impresses me. And if we had more people like him in the world, it would be a more peaceful place.
It was overwhelming for me to meet His Holiness tonight. And this is the first time in my life that I've met someone that I was speechless and didn't know what to say.
And the meeting with His Holiness was such an honor. I could just, his presence and his energy, you can feel that love and that peace that's, you know, we need to also bring back to our home and our territory and our people.
It is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to see again His Holiness the Caliph. It's good to talk with a person who is of that caliber. It's a leader who cares for humanity, and I believe he's the champion for peace.
Treat each other with respect and love, then we can all live together in harmony, and that was the point he made a couple of times. So I was actually really moved, and there were some moments where I got really emotional.
You know, people have told me about how impressive he is as a speaker. I was just so overwhelmed with the words that he said about friendship and working together with the community. It made me proud to be in his presence, to hear him speak. It was very illuminating.
And he is a real beacon of hope for us all. So we are enlightened to see him in real person and to have his real interest in what we are doing. You feel he is really concerned.
He challenged so many dominant narratives and prevailing narratives in the world about Islam, and then especially the one regarding women is like very, very inspirational for me as a woman.
I have no words to express my joy, my feelings when I met Huzur Sahib. We are really transformed to the other world, and when you are in the presence of Huzur, you feel yourself energized.
I'm so honored. I can't even express the feeling that I have to be in his presence and just recognizing the responsibility that he has.
Such a divine and peaceful and virtuous personality and the true representation of Islam.
I'm very glad to meet him again. He is a great personality and always in a very good mood.
For the last week and a half since we were planning our trip, both of us have been a little bit walking on air because we feel so much that it is an extraordinarily special experience to be with you. You know, we feel that light and that wisdom that comes from you, and somehow our days go better and our weeks go better after we've had the opportunity to be around you. So we thank you.
Dear viewers, welcome back to the studio. We are still on the discussion about Khilafat, and as you have seen from the video, it's not only Ahmadis that fall in love with the Khalifa. Even people who do not have the apparent belief in Khilafat also fall in love with him just by the purity of the message that he brings across and by the lights on his face that shines because of the light that he gets from the followership of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The viewers have been sending more and more messages, and I'll read just a few of them. Another one from Mauritius. Mauritius is doing very well. Amina Yasmin, she says, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, jazakumullah for bringing to us such faith-inspiring programs. Very sad that is the last one today. May Allah Almighty continue to shower His blessings on MTA. I mean, yes, we are all saddened that we are coming to the end of this 3-day special program. Mahmoud Enin from UK says, may Allah bless our panelists and hosts for this insightful discussion. This is indeed a great manifestation that Ahmadiyya is the true Islam, mashallah. From Nigeria, Abdul Qadir Adebesing, he says, it's been a pleasure watching this beautiful program for the past 2 days, fulfilling the prophecies of the Messiah, alayhi salam. Jazakumullah to you all, and a safe trip back home. Ameen. From Ghana, we have Nabila Adusai. She says, Assalamu alaikum. How evident, O Allah, guide those in whose hearts there is even a little light. Khilafat will continue to triumph no matter the opposition. Khilafat Zindabad. Ameen, Ameen. May Allah guide us all aright. Gentlemen, the time is not really on our side. Let me take some very last words from you about Khilafat. I know there's more and more that you would want to share, but the end is also looming on our heads.
You see, Hafiz said we were talking about the love of the Khalifa, and Hazur once mentioned that he has been praying for everyone, for all the Ahmadi members, and that love is actually very pure. One thing, there's one incident, something happened. There was a small girl, only 2 years old, and she was watching MTA. So normally in the family there, they put the translation on.
Yeah.
So she came and she made the parents understand that they have to change the translation because she wants to hear the voice of Hazur. So even you see, even among the children, even though they have not yet met beloved Hazur, just the voice of the Khalifa has a deep impact on them, how they feel this love, and she just wanted to listen directly to the voice of Hazur.
That is really wonderful. Shams up.
Yeah, of course. For me, I think as Ahmadis, we should always be grateful to Allah Almighty for that system of Khilafat. We should always pray for the Khalifa. And today I was in the mosque, I was praying, one person was praying next to me as well. And after the prayers, he just started praying for Hazur while sitting down, and he was crying. And I felt in me that if this should continue in Ahmadis, if this should be our attitude towards Khilafat, then Allah will continue blessing us with that Khilafat. Yes. We should always pray for the Caliph of the time.
Yes. Right, indeed. Very well said. How beautiful these stories are. They come with a condition. And the Quran itself, the very, Ayat Istikhlaf, mentions that the condition is obedience. We must value and we must regard this Khilafat. Until we obey every directive of the Khalifa,
Mashallah,
we will not be able to continue to enjoy this blessing.
Mashallah. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much, panelists, for these 3 days. Very insightful discussions. And Jazakumullah to you, dear viewers, for joining us throughout the 3 days. This is the day that we bring a close to all that we've been talking about. But if you joined us from the first day, you realize how we talked about Jalsa Salana, which is a fulfillment of the prophecies of Hazrat Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. And then again, we talked about the Prophet alayhi salam himself, the prophecies pertaining to his life and how he lived his life and how that fulfills the prophecies that were made before him. Today we are talking about the continuation of Khilafat, the continuation of the message of the Prophet Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam. And today we see the Jamaat growing from strength to strength. And this is despite all the efforts of the opponents to bring an end to Jamaat. Noor Khuda hai kufur ki harkat pe khandazan punkhon se ye sharag bujaya na jayega. This light, this is the light of Allah, and it's not going to be diminished because of any effort that anybody is going to make or do. So if you are watching us and you are an Ahmadi, your faith should be strengthened. And if you are not an Ahmadi as well, you should think about your faith. We started 3 days ago, and now we are coming to an end. Such is life. Our lives will come to an end. Let's think about it again, and let's hope and pray that Allah blesses us with another year to come back again to you with this program. Until then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
صوت السماء جاء المسيح جاء المسيح اسمعوا صوت السماء جاء المسيح جاء المسيح